Okay, we are with Graham Fink, the Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy Mather Greater China. So Graham, thank you so much for giving up some of your time today. It's the Spiked Festival of Creativity. You're on in a few minutes on the grand stage. I'm hoping you've written a speech. What are you going to be talking about?
Well, I'm going to be talking about this, actually. Eat your head. And I put it on a plate, of course. Eat your head.
Yeah, makes it clearer, yeah.
Have you ever thought about eating your head?
Not really. I don't think it would taste very nice.
How do you know unless you've tried it?
That's true.
But the whole point about this talk is I believe that from the beginning of time, you know, the human race was created, and we are born to create. And we are creators, and we have fun, we experiment all the time, we try new things, and we build incredible things. We sent rockets to the moon, we can put a space satellite thing onto an asteroid. Yeah. We build amazing buildings, ecosystems. We can have nuclear particles flying into each other at the speed of light in huge accelerator chambers. We can do all of this stuff, and yet when we're really young, when we're this kind of high, we just are happy to try all these things. But as we get older, self-doubt starts to creep in. And I think in our world, in the world of communication and advertising, we just tend to overthink too much. You know, we have big data now. We have lots of internal meetings. You know, we all sit around a table. What can we do for our clients? Should we do an extra route? Should we do this? Should we do that? Then the client sees that they want an extra thing. Then we research it, we test it, we refine it. And in the end, you know, I kind of feel when you look at the final stuff that comes out, not always, but I would say most of the time, it's not as interesting or exciting as these initial thoughts we had 2 or 3 months ago. And that's because we overthink everything, that the head gets in the way. So my talk is about let the heart sing, chop your head off, and eat it.
Okay, so how do we identify those moments? How do we know when we've got something that is a naked, vulnerable idea that we need to nurture and protect? And then what do we need to do in order to grow it?
Yeah. That's when you need a chief creative officer.
Right, that's a good idea.
Yeah, to say that's the one. I kind of feel that you intuitively know when something just feels right. And I'm also a great believer in tissue meetings. I know not everyone likes this, but I think a lot of the time people don't really know how to run a tissue meeting, and what I would say is that there's one very important thing you should say right at the very beginning, is that there are 2 rules to this tissue meeting. The first one is you cannot kill anything in this meeting, right? Even if you hate it, we have the right to bring it back, because you might say something, we can bring it back next week. The other rule is you cannot buy anything. Even if you go, that is fantastic. You, no. Hold your horses, because we may be able to better that. And also what you can do then is you know, you're really involving the clients, and you know, they're making comments, of course, and you're writing these comments down, and you use that to help you sell the idea again when you go back, because you're taking their comments on board, you're making things better. When you go back, you know, it's partly their idea too.
So can you think of a moment in your career where you've spotted that creative idea, that special something that came at the most unexpected time, that was nurtured and blown into something that made you really proud of?
I'm going to show some examples in the talk later. One is, I've got a great clip from Karl Lagerfeld, where he dreamt a whole collection when he was working at Chanel. The whole thing came to him, the clothes, the costumes, and the entire sets. And of course he said, this doesn't happen too often. And I've had that experience, and I wish it happened more. But I remember at Saatchi's in the 80s, under Paul Arden, everyone was working on the master brand commercial, a 90-second blockbuster. And of course, we wanted to beat everyone. And of course, everyone wanted to beat everybody else. So you've got this incredible kind of creative energy. But Paul was tough, and everyone had scripts and scripts and scripts blown out. And I can't remember how many scripts we had blown out, but it was really, we were going, oh fuck, we can't think of anything. And eventually we came up with an idea we thought was fantastic. We took it into Paul, and he blew it out. And we were absolutely devastated. I remember going back to my office with my copywriter, Jeremy Clark, and we were just sitting there. And I think it was in that moment of stillness, this, thank you, this whole idea came in, and it just came in, I think, less than 60 seconds. I was scribbling this thing down, and then we had it, and then we chatted through it, we tweaked a few things, we showed it to Paul later that afternoon, and it was a British Airways face commercial. Wow. Paul loved it, and we made it.